it's just finished the auto leveling, it's just about to start. See, the temperature here is set for 225 on the nozzle, 65 on the heat bed, no fan. Now I'm asking it to change temperatures as it's going up, so I want to try and catch that. It's going to do a sort of millimeters deep thickness of square first, like a base for it to go onto, and it does that at the 225. Then it should go to 235 after that for the first section. Then each 10mm section, it should knock the temperature down by 5 degrees. Now I do ask for a weight at that. The nozzle will stay where it is, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. That's going to impact. Let's have a look at the levels. So it's 0.7, 0.9 there. Just turn this lights off because it's a bit hard to read that if I've got the lights on. So it's 1.1, and there it's paused. See how it's paused now, and it's going to wait for the temperature to go to 235. So it's got to go 10 degrees here, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Heat bed. What's happening with the heat bed here? Well, 225 on the nozzle, 65 on the heat bed, starting again. I had the sort of G code wrong. Just let me put some of these LEDs on. So again, it's the same sort of model G code, and it's to change temperatures at the same layer heights, etc. So this time it should work properly. One of the issues is that when I use Cura to do a tweak at the temperature at the layer height, it does an M104, which is like, I think that's, so far as I know, that's like changing nozzle temperature without waiting, but I want it to actually wait to give it a chance to cool to that temperature. And then when I've gone in to change it, I've changed it to change the temperature of the bed instead of the temperature of the nozzle. So now I've got an M109R, and it's quite important that you do put the R letter in instead of the S letter, so it's like R whatever temperature I want. So now there again it's pausing. Now the nozzle should start, let me turn out this some of these LEDs because we can see better. So the nozzle should start increasing actually to 235 for the first. Just a second. I'm getting a terrible reflection here. My camera finds it hard to focus on this at the moment, but that is hopefully going to 235 there on the nozzle, and then it starts when it reaches that, and it's only after that really, because that's the first 1mm, that it starts lowering the temperature. So it's going to do 10mm, another 10mm for this part, this next section, and then it should pause again. Put this LED on. And when it pauses, I'll show you the nozzle temperature, which should be dropping to 230 if I've got the settings right, that is. Sorry, the camera's a bit wonky here. I might be able to you might just make out the actual temperature there on the nozzle. 235, oh, it's knocking there. I mean the yeah. There are R shapes in this sort of column that's delivered to sort of well, in a way, test how good it is at pinning each sort of section of this. So each section is 10 millimeters high once it gets past the first millimeter. So pinch the first millimeter, which are set to 235, and the first one sort of section is also 235. Then it should knock down the temperature by 5 degrees once it's done this 10 millimeter layer here. That is on 10 millimeters on top of the first 1 millimeter of. That is the nozzle temperature. It should change on 11 millimeters, so basically the next layer. I expect it to pause, stop the print, and there we are. It's stopped printing, although it's kept position, which I don't particularly like. I mean, I could ask it to move, but that's a lot more complex because you've got to remember the position. And now the bed temperature is set to come to 230. So from 235 to 230, that was pretty quick actually to go to that temperature. You'll see it's a little bit out there, maybe a bit of overshooting. It's coming to 230 now as it's getting into the next layer. So then it should do another 10 millimeters, and then it should knock it down another 5 millimeters in temperature. So that's on 230 at the moment. I'll come back when it gets to about 20 on the level, because that's when it should be changing on 21. Well, you see it's just over 20, still 230 on the nozzle. So when it gets to 221, it should change, well, it should pause a bit while it waits for the nozzle to change 5 degrees down in temperature. It's on 230 at the moment, so it should go to 225. Looking at that from here, it looks a little bit ropey. It's a bit hard for me to tell. And then it's paused, and it's aiming for 225. That's the target temperature. Waiting for that. 225, it's gone a bit below that, overshooting a bit. So I don't know why it isn't starting if it's on 225 there, 224. There it's starting there. So that's leaving off 225. That did start back up again on the nozzle. Seemed to overshoot a bit. As you see there, it's at 21, remembering that there is 1 millimeter for the sort of base in a way. Let's try and have a look at this model. Let it pull focus for me. So I normally set my printing temperature to 225 with this filament. That's the normal I have been using. So that's like a normal temperature for the nozzle, 65 on the heat bed. Now if you're looking at this, I would say give it at least, you know, a few layers. If you look at actually watching it print, give it a few layers to sort of stabilise temperatures and move from one layer sort of section to another. Right, I'll come back when it gets to almost on 31 on the level here, so we're on 22.9, enough 23. You might see here it's coming to while we're at 30, so it should be pausing just now and getting quite a bit of a mess of filament actually round the nozzle here. And it's printing into thin air. So it's I'm going to have to stop it. Well, I stopped with the emergency sort of stop here. I do have I've fitted a reset button here. That's just two wires going to the reset button. So it normally open when I press it. It resets the, because the only way you can get out of the like if you press this button, the kill button, is by resetting or unplugging it. Here's some of the filament. I've pulled this off the nozzle, and actually at first when I was looking at it earlier I thought, oh, it is supposed to have some text on this front edge here, and I couldn't see any text, but now I can, at least some. So as you see, I've stopped it there. Okay, the bed's had time to cool down. Let's get it off. Didn't complete the model, as you've seen. It started, well, I don't know, like when I looked it was printed in thin air in a way. Now there are bits of gaps in this model. Just a second. You'll see there's some deliberate design gaps in here in a way to test the model to see if there's any sort of there's a bit of sagging, I would have said. Some gaps on that side. And there's numbers on here, should say the temperature on the front face. Now, if I get the light just right, I don't know if I can really show it in the camera, but I have to get the light just right too. It is embossed a bit. Pretty strong actually. I'm squeezing that quite as hard as I can, and I can't break that. I think, yeah, I can snap it if I twist it like this direction. There's a base. Elmer's glow stick on Borica circle glass here. Well, that's I don't know, to be honest. Skirt here. I do ask for skirts. Dodgy using your nails because it can get under the nails. It comes up all in one piece, so adhesion to the bed is pretty good, I think. Don't think it moved, like to cause it to lift like that.